Silence had always been an integral part of the great northern woods, but tonight it was different. It was heavy, filled with untold horrors that coiled in the shadows like invisible serpents. Far from civilization, deep in the heart of this ancient wilderness, once stood Camp 47, a base for seasonal loggers, hunters, and, as it turned out, for those who had the misfortune of stumbling upon something that transcended human understanding. It was there at Camp 47 that the story began, a story whispered only by those who dared to approach the borders of the forbidden zone. It was a tale of disappearance, of madness, and of a creature that danced on the edge between the material and the otherworldly. It all started when communication with Camp 47 was severed. At first, it was dismissed as just another storm raging over the region. The forests here were treacherous, and equipment often failed. But when a week passed without a single signal from the camp, concern began to grow. A small search party was organized. Veteran Ranger Edward "Eddie" Stone, a young but brave cartographer named Leah Anderson, and a local survival expert, a silent man named Caleb, who knew these woods better than his own palm. As they approached the camp, the first thing that struck them was the unnatural silence. No chirping birds, no rustling leaves. Even the wind seemed to have frozen, frightened by something invisible. They found the camp in utter disarray. Tents were torn, equipment was scattered, but the most terrifying part, there were no bodies. Not a single drop of blood, nothing to indicate a struggle, just emptiness, and a feeling that something had been there. Eddie, who had seen many horrors during the war, felt goosebumps run down his spine. "It's not bears," he muttered. "And not wolves." Leah, with her scientific mind, tried to find a logical explanation, but nothing added up. She found only one strange artifact, a mutilated field journal belonging to one of the loggers, John J. Smith. His last entries were illegible, filled with panic and incomprehensible symbols. But one phrase stood out: the sound. "It follows me, a sound that tears the sky apart." Caleb, who had been silent until now, suddenly raised his hand, gesturing for them to be quiet. A barely audible, low-frequency hum hung in the air. It vibrated in their chests, making their internal organs tremble. It was a sound that did not belong to nature, a sound that was alien and sinister. "What is that?" Leah whispered, her voice trembling. Caleb shook his head, his face tense. "Old legends about the spirits of the forest. But this is something else." They decided to spend the night at the camp, setting up an improvised defense. No one could sleep. The humming grew stronger, turning into a low, long moan that resembled a distant church bell, distorted and eerie. Then, through this moan, other sounds began to break through, snatches of old radio broadcasts, short phrases from long-forgotten songs, and then a scream, a human scream, so sudden and horrific that it pierced them to the bone. Eddie grabbed his shotgun. "What the hell is that?" It's like a mashup," Leah said, her eyes wide. "Radio, voices. It's like someone is tuning in to different frequencies. But it's not a radio receiver." Suddenly, a silhouette burst from the darkness of the forest. Tall, incredibly thin, it almost dissolved among the trees like a shadow. Instead of a head, it had two rusty metal sirens, from which this terrifying stream of sound erupted. Light pulsed from the sirens, illuminating vile, twisted branches that wrapped around its body. This was Siren Head, but not like the one depicted in cheap, tall tailies. It was real material, and it was many times more horrific. Its size was colossal. It could easily step over trees, its long, thick limbs resembling the trunks of ancient oaks. The sounds coming from its sirens were now purposeful. They were the screams of Camp 47, recorded and played back to Sal Panic. It was a hunter, and its weapon was sound. Eddie fired. The bullet whistled past the creature without causing any harm. Siren Head didn't even react. Its sirens only turned slightly, as if it were tuning in. And then the real attack began. The sound waves emanating from Siren Head were not just noise. They were physical blows that made the ground shake and the trees sway. Leah fell to her knees, her ears bleeding. Caleb screamed, trying to run, but the wall of sound threw him back. Eddie, the only one still standing, realized that the fight was futile. They couldn't kill it. They could barely withstand it. His survival instinct took over. "Run!" he shouted, but his voice drowned in the cacophony of horror. Leah, blinded by pain, saw Siren Head slowly moving toward them. Its body looked as if it were made of twisted branches and metal, scraps that had somehow fused together. Inside the sirens, she saw a red, pulsing light that resembled eyes. Caleb, with his deep connection to nature, suddenly understood. "It feeds on panic," he croaked. "It's sound. It's a lure. It draws you out, and then—" He couldn't finish the sentence. They didn't know how long they ran. Leah only remembered the pain in her ears, the feeling of panic that consumed her, and the relentless, haunting sound. They lost Caleb somewhere in the chaos. Eddie, strong and resilient, led her, helping her move forward when her legs refused to obey. When they finally broke out of the forest onto a dirt road, Siren Head seemed to have fallen behind. The sounds faded, turning into a distant, ominous hum. They were injured, terrified, but alive. They were the last ones to see Camp 47 and return to tell the story. But it wasn't just a story about a terrifying creature. It was a story about how the forest has its own ancient secrets, and some of them are better left unrevealed. Siren Head was not just a monster. It was an echo of an ancient machine, perhaps even an older civilization that used sound as a weapon, as a way of communication, or as something much scarier. Its appearance at Camp 47 was perhaps not an accident, but a response to some unknown events that woke it from a deep sleep. After their return, the area around Camp 47 was officially declared a forbidden zone. Stories of Siren Head spread like wildfire, but few dared to believe them. After all, who would believe in a monster that looks like a telephone pole with sirens for a head, emitting the screams of the innocent? Eddie and Leah never forgot what they saw. Every night when the silence fell, they heard the echo, a distant, low-frequency sound humming in their ears, reminding them that Siren Head is waiting for someone to dare disturb its peace again, and perhaps not just its peace. For as Caleb whispered in his prophecies, when one ancient spirit wakes, others begin to hear its call, and the forests that were once silent now held their secrets, ready to reveal them only to those foolish enough to seek them. The ultimate lesson of Camp 47 was that not everything in the world can be explained by science or logic. Sometimes the deepest horrors lurk where we least expect them, in empty spaces, in distorted sounds, and in ancient legends that suddenly come to life to remind us of our place in the world. A place where we are only guests, and the forest has its own silent but deadly masters.